Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're just joining us for the first time, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share and comment on this video. Thank you. So guys, if you're one of those that usually have issues working on dark skins, then this is the tutorial for you. So I'll be taking you on a journey with me on how I created this beautiful dark melanin look. So first things first, let's get into it. So we're going to start by cleaning off her face, clean off the dirt on her face with micellar water and wipes. After doing that, I'm going to use my fan, my mini fan, to dry up the face before I go in with any other skin prep products. So I'm just allowing the face dry down. Now this is an array of some of the skin prep products I'm going to be using for this look. So first I'm going to use the Mario Badescu hydrating spray, and after spraying I'm going to use my hands to work it into the skin. And next up I'm going in with my DR.Russell vitamin C serum. This is also a hydrating product, and I'm also using my skin prep brush for this. I'm not applying the dropper directly on her face to avoid contamination. So I'm just going to be using my brush to spread this all over the face and then work it in with my fingers until it's evenly distributed. Okay, next up I'm going in with my moisturizer. This moisturizer is from Estee Lauder. So I'm just going to use my brush to spread it evenly and then work it into the skin, and then make sure it dries down at least before I go in with any other step of skin prep. So I'm gonna use my fan to facilitate the process, okay, and then I go in with other products. I'm just fanning it to make sure it's a bit dry before I can proceed. So next up I'm using this moisturizer from msmetics. It's one of the leading Nigerian brands. So I'm just going to spread it to and make sure it goes in. Now for dark skin models, I like to do a lot of hydrating processes because for dark skin people, their makeup tends to look better when it looks hydrated. Okay, over the years I've come to realize that doing a very matte look on dark skinned or melanin beauties doesn't really bring out the beauty in their skin. So most times the best option for me is going dewy or soft matte. So I always try to pick my skin prep products carefully when I'm dealing with dark skin, because the products you use can make or mar the entire look. So I'm just using the hydrating primer from Milk Makeup here. So I'm just using my hands to apply this because I noticed that whenever I use my brush to apply this, it balls up. So I think it's better when you use your hands. And next I'm going to apply the mattifying primer just on her brow areas. Okay, so now this is the e.l.f. eye cream. This is just to make the under eyes, the fine lines under the eyes to go away, and then create an illusion that there are no fine lines or wrinkles, and then help the foundation or concealer I'm going to apply there to sit properly. So I'm going in with this foundation from Estee Lauder in shade, I think 8N1. This is like the darkest shade, I think so. So I'm just going to apply it first, then spray, and then blend. Okay, so I'm using this brush from Real Technique. I'm just applying it around her T-zones and then her cheek and her jaw. Then I'm going to spray using the Nia Beauty primer spray. If you know me very well, if you follow me on Instagram, you'd realize that I can't do without this primer spray. Like literally all my jobs, like every single job I do, dark skin, light skin, whichever, I always use this primer spray. It helps your blending process. Like, see how easy everything is going. That's because I use the primer spray. It softens the foundation and makes it easier to blend. Okay, so I'm just going to blend this, blend. You can see how it's glowing, considering the fact that the Estee Lauder foundation is a very mattifying foundation and it's giving this dewy, glowy look. That should tell you that the skin prep process I did is enhancing this effect. Because if I had done the regular mattifying skin prep process and then I applied the Estee Lauder foundation, we wouldn't get this glow effect we are getting now. Okay, and look at my model glow. Can you see that? So I infuse a lot of hydrating products in the skin prep process to enable us have this glow from within. Now for the body glow, I used the Nia Beauty Body Glow. It's a universal shade, so anybody can use it. Now for my concealer, I'm going in with the Yanga Beauty concealer. I think I use shade 4 and 5. Yeah, I used 4 and 5 because she's really dark, and for me, I don't like my highlights to be very bright. I always go at most 2 shades lighter. For dark skin, I could even go 1 shade lighter, but then I just don't like it very bright. So I think I'm just going 2 shades lighter for her. And then I'm still going to go around it with a darker shade, which is the number 5, the shade 5 of the Yanga Beauty concealer. Now this concealer, the reason why I like it is because it is easy to blend, doesn't dry up fast, and it has it's a medium to full coverage concealer, and I really don't like very heavy and thick concealers, so this does the work for me. And when I apply with my brush, my blending brush first, it takes about, I think it does about 40% of the blending job for me, so I don't have to struggle to blend when I want to start blending. Okay, so I enjoy applying with my brush first before going in with a blending brush or beauty blender. But for today, I'll be using a blending brush. So this blending brush is from Real Technique. So I'm just blending. Next up, I'm going in with my cream blush from Tehila Cosmetics. So I'll be using the very dark red shade on the palette. I think this is almost blood. So for those who attended my last online class, I explained the difference between value, intensity, and the rest when it comes to makeup application. So for people that are very dark, you have to use products that are in the same shade range. Yeah, I think that's the right word. Shade range with their shade. So because she's very dark, I had to use the very dark blush there. So for contour, I used the Ezekiel Second Skin Concealer. I think I used the darkest shade because that was actually the darkest thing in my concealer slash. I couldn't see anything darker than her shade, but I was lucky to find that particular concealer. So I used it for her nose contour and her face contour. And I'm using the same brush I used for her foundation to apply the contour around her cheek and her forehead area. And I'm trying my best to blend it in to make it look seamless, okay? Because for dark skins, if you don't blend in properly, you're going to see the results. Okay, so this is the finished look from the concealer contouring and highlighting process. Now onto the setting process. So I'm using this setting powder from Yanga Beauty in shade cinnamon. Yeah, cinnamon. So my brush is from MK Beauty, and I'm just going to use it to apply on the places I highlighted. I'm not really heavy on powders, so I'm just going to be applying this lightly. I'm going to be setting lightly. I don't want the face to look too powdered, maybe as a red. So as I'm even using my brush, and I'm not using beauty blender because beauty blender will make it appear very thick, and I don't want that. So I'm done setting the areas I highlighted. Next, I'm going in with her shade of powder. This powder is from Sephora, I think in shade 80. I think Sienna also, yeah. So, and the brush is from Yanga Beauty. I think, yeah, Yanga Beauty. I'm just going to apply this every area of her face that I did not highlight. That includes the contour and the areas I applied blush. Come down to her neck a little so the face and the neck rhymes. Next, for my bronzer, I'm gonna be using the Morphe bronzer. For the shade of the bronzer, I'm gonna be putting it in the description box because I've forgotten what shade. So I'm using the same bronzer for my nose and the cheekbones. So this brush is from Urban Decay. The other one I used for the cheek was from Beauty Cosmetics. So I'm done with that. I'm going to go in with the same setting powder I used to highlight her face the first time application. So I'm not using a beauty blender so it doesn't turn out too much. I'm just going to do the same thing that I did the first time when I was setting. Now for my brows, because she's very dark and the darkest shade of brow gel I have is light for her, so I had to mix my eyeliner gel and my brow gel. Eyeliner gel is black and then the brow gel is brown, obviously. So I had to mix it to get a very dark shade of brown to use for her eyebrow. So first I used the brow tamer, then I powdered the brows, and then the drawing process. So I'm just going to be saying random things while I'm doing this brow because it's quite a long process. So but for the first process of the brow is always make sure you outline correctly, because for someone like me that doesn't conceal the top of my brows, I pay particular attention to the sketching process because however I outline, that's how the brow is going to come out. So when I'm outlining my brows, I'm very careful because I don't intend on using lots of concealers, so I try not to make a mistake, so I don't rely on concealers to help me. So after sketching, I'm going to go in and fill in lightly. You don't want to use so much product because you don't want the brows to be too thick. So now I'm concealing the brows. Usually we use lighter shade for the brow bone and a darker shade for the inner corners. The darker shade to conceal the inner part of the brows, and then go in my blending brush and blend it all in. Okay, so always remember to start from the inner corners before you work your way down, or rather start from the darkest part, just like when you're blending in your highlighter on your face too. Always have to consider the darker part first before going into the lighter areas. So that's what I just did here, the darker part first before going into the lighter part of the eyebrow. So now I'm done blending. I went in my powder palette, my powder palette to set the areas I highlighted, and I had to bring back the contour brush to just darken that front part a bit to make sure it rhymes with the other highlighted areas. Now for my eyeshadow base, I'll be using this concealer from Yanga Beauty in shade 6. It's the darkest shade in their concealer range. I am just using this for the base because I intend to do a smoky eye look, so I don't want something very bright. So this would do the trick for me. Next, I'm going in with my eyeshadow from Hegai and Esther Cosmetics. So I'm using the blue shade in the palette. It's a very vibrant blue, but it suits her color because her black is intense. So the intensity of the color too rhymes with the level of the value of her shade. So for the outer corners, I used black to smoke it out, and this brush I'm using is from Yanga Beauty. After doing that, I'm just going to use my concealer to clear out the edge of the brow of the eyeshadow, sorry, the eyelids, and then set with powder to avoid creasing. Okay, so I'm done with the eye look. Now for my reverse contour, I'm using the same setting powder, the Yanga Beauty setting powder in cinnamon, to do this. Okay, and the same brush I used to set the face. So that is done. The next is my lip process. Because she's very dark, I think I had to mix my brow gel with the Eye Magically palette, the brown shade in the Eye Magically palette, just to be able to achieve something darker than her lip color or her lip shade. So I'm trying to create a nude shade. So for the outer corners, I used a very dark brown, and then for the inner, I used this nude lip stain from Hegai and Esther. So next, I'm going to be going in with a shade of concealer to just outline the lip and to correct any mistake I might have made while I was outlining or blending in the lips. So this brush I'm using is from Cindy's Creation. I think it comes in a set of 3. This is the round the round flat concealer brush. So now I'm going to set the whole face with her shade of powder again. I used the same Sephora powder I used first time. This is for the finishing, so I used it to finish up on everything. So I'm using the same Yanga Beauty brush I used earlier. Now I'm just going to go in with that small brush I used for highlighting to brush off the setting powders, and then use a lighter shade of powder on the areas beneath her eyes. I used the Nivan Beauty powder for that. So next I'm going to go in with the cream blush I used earlier, the Tehila cream blush, and the same shade I used, the very dark red, and then I used when I was doing my highlights in the first stage. I'm still using that same shade, and I'm also using the same brush I used for the first time I applied it. Next up, for my highlighting, I think I used the Becca Cosmetics highlighter. I think the very dark shade. I don't know the name. I'm going to check the name and put it in the description box. But that was what I used. I think chocolate also. Yeah, I've forgotten though. And this brush is from Real Technique as well. So I don't like my face to be very bright or the highlighter to be so much. So I just take a little and then blend it in as I'm applying it. Okay, so I'm applying on the forehead. I've applied on the cheekbones, the jaw, and now I'm applying on the forehead, just spreading it evenly. Then next I'll go in with my small brush for the bridge of my nose and the tip of the nose. Like I said earlier, I don't like it so much, so I don't like it being so bright, so I try to avoid using too much. And see me trying to use my hand to blend it in as I'm using it. Then I'm going to take a little and apply on the brow bone, to make that brow pop. Then I'm applying on the inner corners of her eyes too, to give it some shine. I used a black eyeshadow from the eyeshadow palette to do this. The brush I used here too is from Yanga Beauty. I just used it to create a shadow under her eyes after I had already applied the gel liner and everything. So this is just to make it more intense. Okay, so I just used that to apply on that area. And then I went in my mascara. Mascara is from Gentle Dove Cosmetics. Don't have to like put so much effort. Just apply it a little and it comes out very well. So I think I've been using this mascara for a long time now. Now to set everything in, I'm using the Morphe continuous spray. Just gonna spray this generously and then fan it to dry. This my mini fan is very important to me. Comes in handy at every step. So guys, we're done with this look. Now this is the finished look. I love it. I know you love it too. And if you're impressed by this beautiful work, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and also very important to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you.